Hello, friends. I recorded this intro with Gabrielle when I interviewed her, and I had I had babies walking in. I couldn't get my words out. I was probably just tripping over myself because Gabrielle's so great. So I just decided to re-record the intro so that we could have it be smooth and concise. So I interviewed Gabrielle Ruiz because she's a freaking rock star and she's taken on motherhood with ease and with delight. And as you know, I struggled through my first year. I had identity crises. I had insane hormones, and I just had a tough time. So when Gabrielle was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the greatest," for all the things that she does and for her positive attitude, I was like, "Yep, I would love to talk to you." So she is a successful actress, philanthropist, producer, podcaster. You can find her on Instagram, Gabrielle Ruiz. You can also find her on TV. She's known for the comedy Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, Star Trek Lower Decks, Modern Family, Better Things, Alone Together, Orange is the New Black, Sesame Street, Law and Order SVU, and The Fifth. And now she's a mother, and she's like, yeah, I don't know, we're just cruising. So let's get into this podcast and hear all about how she's doing it. Holy resume, first of all. That's incredible. Like, I can't fathom all of those things. So welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming on here. And I'm most excited just to hear about how you went from all of that to all of that now with a baby, because what? So
I also want to say, I also have been ready to say, hey, it's you, Shayla. Like, I'm just such a huge fan. So thank you for having me on.
Of course. I'm so excited that you're here. So
congrats on starting the pod, girl.
I know. Right before this, I'm like, okay, tell me a couple secrets. What do you do? How do you do this? What do you like? Tell me all your knowledge. And I mean, you've got all of this going on. Plus you just had a baby and then you're like, I'm going to start a podcast, right? It's madness.
I did start the podcast before we got pregnant again.
Oh, okay.
I feel. And my co-host and co-producer, and she was the original not choreographer, because there's no choreography in podcasts, the original creator of What a Front's For. She scheduled our latest season before I had Mercedes. So I was in very good hands. And she was like, okay, so your due date's May 1st. So we're going to wrap April 20th. Does that work for you? And I was like, oh yeah, that's a great idea.
Be fine. Yeah, should be fine.
You know, a lot of it's Pallavi Sastry when it comes to being organized with the podcast. And we took advantage, or we took the opportunity to hire college students that were bored over the summer and like panicking that they couldn't move to Los Angeles or New York. And we hired them to help us like produce the show.
Oh my gosh.
As well as like, you know, mentorship, which I really, truly, authentically believe that it worked, because some of these kids are going to take over Hollywood and they're so smart and so good at what they do. And they know Canva. Like, Shayla, I don't know what that is. I don't know what Canva is. I'm not good at that, you know? And I'm like, and I told one of them, I was like, did you know there's this thing called Canva? And she's like, yeah, we learned it in college. I was like, great.
Oh my God. Did you know about that? That's how I feel about Pinterest. I'm pretty good on Canva. Oh. Pinterest, I have an intern who does all of my, if I had to go make a pin on my own, I really don't know that I could do it. I mean, we could probably figure it out, but
we could, but why would we make time for it? And then like TikTok, you know, you should see my face when I'm trying to understand the Pandora's box of TikTok. And I understand it's like not supposed to be polished. And so I'm like, okay, so like I'm going to do a day in the life rating things. Me and Merk, you know, we're going to go to the office space and the dog comes with us. It's super fun. And then my friend Travis McElroy, who's like a huge podcaster parent who you would love to have on the podcast.
Right.
He texted me and he was like, so about your TikTok. I was like, do you have notes? And he's like, it's pretty long. It's a lot. It's really polished. And I was like, you are a very good friend.
Yeah. You're like, are my grays showing? I did it wrong. But I did TikTok wrong.
But it took me like 20 hours to do it.
Oh my God.
Who has time?
No.
Who has time without the kid? Like if you're past 30, you don't have time for that.
Well, because
I'll get off
past
that soapbox.
right, but past 30, you're like, what's my return on investment here? Before 30, you're like, oh my God, yeah, I'll just record a day in life. Because how fun is that? Yeah, exactly. Okay,
so how do I have time to do my career? Let's get into that.
Yeah, well, let's talk about first. I mean, I know I just listed off and rattled off a bunch of stuff, but just like tell us more about you. Like, what have you been up to the past? Because you've obviously done a million bajillion things. So just kind of like,
oh, thanks.
Yeah, give us a background.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 36 and I moved to New York at 20. Wow. To 21, who knows, whenever I graduated from college. Yeah. And the college I went to was a really great musical theater dance school. So they really bred us to think about show business not being show begging. And so it's business. And I loved that because I wasn't feeling like the suffering was just for my passion. You know, it's also for money. You know, like, let's make money, let's pay rent, let's live in New York City. And then add on the New York City style and groove of everything is just manically fast paced. And the goal for me was to be on Broadway. And I was able to achieve that with a lot of no's in between. Everyone sees the shiny, you know, Instagram version of everything. And before Instagram, back in our day, Shani, you know, it was like everyone just saw your resume and you didn't know how many tears took to get there. And I think every career can relate to that. And so with Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, I was dating Philip and we met on Match.com. And when I left for Crazy Ex to Los Angeles and they were offering me more episodes, he was like, oh, she's not coming back. So he put a ring on it. Hey. And then we moved to Los Angeles, and it really took a supporter, a very confident man, to say she's about to hit a peak in her, you know, like, I feel like for me, my career is really just showing up and not giving up to make it. Because like the good luck will be there and you just got to be ready for it and not quit. You just can't quit. And so that's how I do everything, is just not quit.
That's everything. I mean, that's for me too. It's YouTube, it's the podcast, it's everything. It's just like lasting longer than everyone else.
Just right? Be a cockroach in your industry and you'll be great.
Yeah, and a little leech. Just hang on tight. Yeah.
Just hold on. Just a little parasite.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing.
So adding the baby, I'm 36. I might have mentioned that. And I say that specifically not because, oh, we're getting old. It's like, no, it's time. You know, it's time for a new purpose. You know what I mean? And I've put it on the back burner for a while. I'm first a dancer, and you know, my physical body has never changed. Like, I feel like a lot of the people, you know, I went to high school, like they might have stayed in Texas where I'm from and like did parenting first, and they've changed in that way very quickly and earlier, like my parents did. Like my mom had me at 22. And so we started trying once Crazy Ex-Girlfriend ended, and it was like, okay, we live in Los Angeles. We bought a condo. We would love to try to have a family here while I continue to try to conquer my career here, because it always feels like it never ends. And then we had a miscarriage. And I remember freaking out about that pregnancy because everything's going to change. And if you flip it to a mom that might be in her 20s, she's ready for change once her kids are like in high school or college. You know, she hasn't had that change. And for me, it was the other way. It's like, oh my God, now it's time to change. And I've got to embrace this because I want this. And I was having meltdowns like, I'm tired. I can't memorize my lines as well. I mean, you know, the first trimester of just the exhaustion. And I went into an audition room and I like had to like sit down because I was nauseated. And then I told them, I was like, I'm sorry, it's because I'm pregnant. And then we went there and then we were distracting. And then like this team knew me and they've loved me. They almost hired me for like the lead role. And they looked at me like I was I was like, they were like, just cringeworthy. Yep. And my husband was like, I'm sorry, but did you said you wanted to have kids, right? And I was like,
this is a thing you want? Yeah.
Yes. But it was it was like, like in my tears and in all my hormones that I had never experienced before. because I am such a disciplined dancer that I know my body well. And I didn't know this person at 35.
Yeah.
Mature.
Yeah.
Blossomed.
Oh, but those hormones, you know you're being insane. Like, I remember just feeling like, okay, this is not me, but I'm still upset about this. Like,
I'm so upset.
I always
totally
said that, like,
agree.
the feelings that you feel are real, but how they come out is a little bit exaggerated. Like, I remember just crying and stuff. Was like, what do we need to do? And I was like, I have so much to get done. He's like, what? I was like, I need nails. Like nails, like for a hammer.
Nails.
And I'm hungry.
And I'm hungry.
Yeah. And he was like, okay.
Well, I can help you.
Feed you. And I was like, okay, that's really not that many things. I don't know.
But it's so much right now. And the tidal wave.
Yes. And when you're used to just like that, knowing your body, feeling like you're a pretty chill person, like you're one of the chill girls, and then just being like insane. You're like,
yeah. Well, and writing my career of the yeses and the nos and the great days and the terrible days, like, yeah, that's fine. And I've done it PMSing, right?
Yeah.
But holy cow, with the hormones of housing a human and then producing that human and then exuding that human. It's just like, there were moments I would just literally close the door of my closet and sit there and cry. And poor Philip would come over and he'd be like, you okay? And I was like, you just need to wait for me to do that. But I wasn't like that, Shayla, like with my first pregnancy.
Oh, really?
Because I didn't know. Well, I didn't know. It was so new. And I'm 35 and I've got it together. I'm like, thank God my 20s are over and I know myself. And then this happens. And so when the miscarriage happened, I say this with without judgment to myself, that I was kind of relieved that I could have another chance to try again. And I was like, okay, at least I don't know if I could handle Down syndrome talk, you know what I mean? Because I would want to know, and that would be more emotional for me.
Right.
And it's so early, like, let's just have a clean slate and let's just, let my body saying something's not right.
Yep.
Let's just try again. And so now I have like 3 to 6 months to like get ready for this change.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for it in this really backwards way.
Right. And it's so weird. And I feel like, because I've had 2 miscarriages as well. And they're like, for one of them, I was like depressed, genuinely depressed. I was like, I've never felt like this before. This is how people feel. You can't just like feel better, Yeah. And then the other one was at 6 weeks and I was like, okay, that's okay. And it was just different. And I think like I made a video about it, and for me, it was just all about however you feel is how you feel. If you're 13 weeks and you are wrecked, fine. If you're 13 weeks and you're like, oh, okay, that's okay. Let's try again. That's great. Like there's no way to feel about it. And yeah.
No, you can't read a book about it and you can't follow the rules in that book for sure.
Yeah. There are no rules. So then, but that created you to be like, okay, girl, like kind of preparing you for the big change.
Like there was like, I would say I made like mistakes with my attitude towards being pregnant. It was like, I can't believe I'm pregnant. I can't believe I'm changing. I can't believe I can't control this. And I was so like mad about it. And that's when I had that epiphany when Philip's like, you want kids, right? And I was like, you're right, I do. Why am I so mad about it? Also add hormones. And so when, I say January of 2020, it was like, okay, let me get ready for pilot season, like a big audition season for Hollywood. Let me feel good in my clothing again, like wash off that hormonal weight and just like, let's just start over. Let me audition well, and then we'll start trying again.
Yeah.
And then all of that got canceled because of the pandemic. Right. So we waited until nobody turned into zombies to start trying again. Basically, like we were like, let's just write this pandemic out.
I was like, is that a show? Okay. No,
because
of COVID.
Because of COVID. It was just like, because March and April were like the months of like, wait 3 months until you try again because you're geriatric. You're like, okay, fine, that's fine. And so I did. And then I was like, pilots, you know, the big audition seasons right now in March. And then all of that got squashed. And I was like, well, let's wait like another 3 months to see if the world is ending. And if not, I don't want to be pregnant for that's the one last thing I'm going to control.
That's
like
fair,
it's the one last thing I'm going to try to
I don't
control.
want to have to be in an apocalypse pregnant. Right.
Well, like you saw that movie with, what's his name from The Office? Oh, this is terrible.
Probably not. I'm the worst at movies.
There's this movie, John Krasinski and his wife. She's from Devil Wears Prada. Come on, Gabrielle, get it right. Devil. I'm like literally Prada cast. Let's see.
Jamie, can you look this up for us?
Emily Blunt.
Have you seen
Emily Blunt?
All right.
Okay, so Jamie. So Emily they do this movie like they're in the side they have to be silent the whole time because of the monsters.
Birds or something? No. Forget
I think it's called Silence, but
right.
It's not. But let's just call the
different
movie
one where
Silence
they have to be blind. I don't know.
Yeah, well, there's one that they have to be super quiet. The Quiet. Okay. It's probably called The Quiet. Anyway, she's pregnant and she's like trying to have a baby in the quiet. And I'm like, that's not going to be me. I'm not going to do that, man. Like, what if we all turned into zombies last year? Like, what would you have done?
Yeah, I don't know. Seth would be prepared. I would not. Seth is like, he's ready for that probably his whole life. And I'm like, Seth, just so you know, I probably won't make it. Like,
I probably won't make it.
Yeah.
If there's just like, just throw me into the lion's den and just get it over with.
Yeah. Just save yourself. I probably won't make it.
we say that about our dog all the time. Like, Leela's not going to make it. Like, we're going to have to leave her. She's such a scaredy pup. Like, oh, the fireworks happen.
Oh no.
Just like,
oh, that's so funny. Okay. So you decided you were doing it. You were having the baby. And I read your First Time Parent magazine article, which was pretty insightful. I really enjoyed that. I feel like you just had this very calm, like, oh yeah, I had to have a C-section. I was cool. I accepted it. No big deal. Oh, I had to do, there was something else that I was just like, it just is like super, it definitely did. I was like, all right, cool. Yeah. And there was something else that it was just like, yeah, well, then this just happened. And it was cool. I was like, where's this attitude? How do I get some of that? Like, I'm like,
well, do you know where I got it from? I got it from you because like the pandemic YouTube, my pandemic pregnancy was so lonely and so isolated. I turned to YouTube to learn like how to switch out your office hutch into a nursing cabinet, how to use a traveling caddy for your nursing station if you're going to have a mobile in your house, how to everything. Okay. Like there was no parenting class.
Right. And there's no
aunties
or moms and dad, like nobody's over there being like,
no
this
family.
Is what you need to do. Right.
Right. Yeah. Much less my chosen family in Los Angeles. I couldn't see them either, except on Zoom. So if I was going to be on my computer, I wanted to see what it looked like, the days in the life with a baby of certain age or pregnancy. And that's how I found you. And you all the YouTube mommy bloggers. I'm not kidding. Like you guys like saved me. Like just like gave me someone to talk to. And like there were certain moments I was talking back to you guys. I was like, oh my God, I'm so
I feel you, girl.
I was like, yeah, me too. Yeah, you know. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm talking back to Allie Scott. Like she's not here. She's not here. And so a lot of those had a lot of like great mental health and mental awareness that it's fine. You're going to be okay. Everything's going to change. Everything's not going as planned. And again, like that lesson I learned with the miscarriage was like, you've got to be okay with change, Gabrielle, just the way you are so aggressively with your work, because Broadway shows close on Broadway every day. And the 3 shows I've been on, I feel like the Black Widow. Like I've been part of all 3 closing casts. Oh, no. So I've experienced the, hey, it's not working out conversation many, many ways.
Yeah.
That why can't I do that for my own life, my personal life?
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was the only way I thought, oh, and then I was listening to the Birth Hour podcast. Do you know that Birth Hour
I've heard
podcast?
of it, but I haven't listened to it.
Well, it's everyone's birth story. It's the most brilliant podcast I've ever heard. Because literally the host goes, So here's a mom, go ahead. And it's like an hour of a mom talking about her birth story.
Oh,
As a
wow.
host, it's brilliant.
Yeah, right.
A little work. Here we are like writing out our intros, you know what I mean?
Right.
And there was this one, when I found out Mercedes was breech, there was maybe like 4 to 6 weeks before that, I was listening to this podcast episode where she was like, I had a breech baby. She's my third baby. He's my third baby. And I am determined to have a vaginal birth. Feet first. And like, she goes through the whole story and it's so admirable, but at the same time, so not my story. Like I was like, I saw how, and I understood her with the determination, the mama bearness of it, the nobody's listening to me feeling. And I can switch that out for my career, right? Because as an entrepreneur, you can feel that, you know, you have to be aggressive, you have to protect your own, and you also feel like you have to be heard, right? And so, and I was like that. But for me, I realized, just like my wedding, I was like, I can't put how like talons clenched onto my career that I am. I can't do that for my personal stuff because I'll go insane. I'll go insane. And I won't be happy, just like I was with that miscarriage baby. Like I was just so like, ah, you know.
Well,
and
you're fighting
so
yourself at that point more than you're fighting
Yes.
to be heard. You're just, Okay.
Exactly. And so I said, you know, it wasn't like, oh my God, she's wrong. I was just thinking, wow, I'm so glad I heard this because I can do that. I know how to do that because I do that with my career. I know I really don't want to do that with
Ooh,
my
yeah.
So I can like not write.
So yeah, I feel like that would help a lot with that's great.
Which is why I was so grateful for the birth hour, because another podcast episode, one of the moms said, I highly suggest you listen to stories that you don't relate to. Because you don't know how your birth is going to go. That's like the hardest thing to hear as a pregnant woman, because you're like, oh, I didn't have an emergency C-section. I had a scheduled one, but I hear the story of nobody prepares you for emergency C-section. And I go back to like my birthing course that I took online, and they do cover it, but you don't really listen to it because you're like, oh, that's not going to be me.
Yeah. Oh, that's a bummer. No, yeah.
Right. And then it becomes a bummer, and then it becomes disappointing. And then like you could have maybe taken the lesson and been like, that can be me. And if it happens, let's try to find a peaceful way to go through it. So that's really how this is like how long have we been talking now? That's the extremely long answer of your first question.
No. I think I asked a second question in there. I just slipped it in.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Don't you worry about the questions.
But that's why like the answer written down, of course, like you saw in the first time parent, like it's written down so then it becomes edited.
Yeah.
There's a lot of peace in there, because when I found out Mercedes was breech, I was like, you know, because again, the miscarriage baby, I was like, as long as she's healthy.
Yeah.
And as long as I'm healthy, we're in a freaking pandemic right now. I just need Philip to be in the room. Because last year, when my baby was due, when the first baby was due, like in March of 2020, I had another girlfriend that had a baby. I don't know if you've had any friends that had babies like right then and there of the unknown pandemic months.
I cannot even imagine. Her partner wasn't allowed in the room?
Like they didn't know until like the day before that.
That's so stressful.
It was like, it was the window where you're like, no, it's her right to have a support system. But that was being questioned because nobody knew what was going on. And I told Philip that. I was like, that would have been us. Like, can you be in the room? My parents are in Texas. My sister's in Virginia. I'm in Los Angeles. Like, there's no way they would have come. They're trying to survive on their own. Like, I would have had nobody there, you know? And so, having time to think about it, having time to prepare, being very internal because of the isolation of the pandemic, there was a lot of peace that was forced upon me to accept.
Yeah. Well, and for me,
the only way to write it out as well, like to write it out.
If I'm going to have to write about this, I was so at peace with it, and it was totally fine. Like, wow, good. Yeah. Capital fine. Yeah.
Capital fine.
For me, I did hypnobirthing because I was like, oh, I'm going to have this like super hippie, natural birth, whatever. But in doing that, I was the same way. Like, I think education is empowerment because I knew this is what could happen. This is what could happen. This is what could happen. And I trusted my midwife. I trusted myself. I trusted the things that I understood. And I was like, if we get to that point, that's what we have to do. Like, who knows if I had to go through it, if I would feel the same way, but I went in going, I would love to do a natural birth. This is my plan. But if that's not what happens, then we're just going to roll with it. And we're just going to, the whole thing with hypnobirthing is just kind of like, let your body do its thing and let everything kind of happen as it happens. And so, and I've talked to a few people who have done hypnobirthing and had C-sections, and that was their story. They were like, because of it, I was just so calm and so at ease. And I was like, all right, we're going into a C-section. Here we go. And so I think the more educated you are, like with your birthing class, the less stress and anxiety and like fear there is. Cause it's like, why am I going into a C-section? Well, your baby's doing this or blah, 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 blah. And okay. Yeah, I agree. Let's go.
Right.
And I think that's kind of, yeah. So I'm glad that you had that experience.
I did. And again, like, it's just, as a dancer, my body is criticized for my work. You know what I mean? And, and I chose it. Like, I'm not saying I'm a victim of it. And I love that I was able to be on Broadway. I love that I was able to do like dream shows with dream people, dream casts, dream roles. And it comes with a really disciplined price tag. So when it came to Mercedes coming into this world in a pandemic, I was like, I can't control that. I have to let it go.
Yeah.
So it was a relief. It was a relief.
Good. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. So once she got here, I'm just going to tell you all that. Oh, wait, first, I read in that article that you made your own little mommy clan with the Peanut app.
Oh yeah, I did. I was so scared about the Peanut app. Like,
yeah.
I was like, there's gonna be so do you curse on your podcast? Are you a cursor or not? I won't curse. Are you okay? There's gonna be so many needy bitches on here. Like, I'm gonna have to just avoid people. You know what I mean? Like, just or judgy. Like, that's the stereotypical like
mom. Yeah.
Yeah, like in a world that I hadn't been in. So I was like trying to tiptoe and not get tangled up into some mess. And that didn't happen on Peanut. I got very lucky. A girl whose due date was the same day as mine. Her name is Judy.
Hi, Judy.
And I found Nicole. Hi, Nicole. I found Nicole, and we all had the same due date. And she is a yoga instructor and had prenatal education in her yoga practice. And so she invited and took the initiative to have like a Zoom yoga mommy meetup at least once or two, I think every other week or every week. Oh man, that was my therapy.
Yeah,
I needed it. Holy cow. Much less need the yoga for my hips, but also the meditation, the release of stress, and then the conversation. So like, yeah. And like, the 1 hour meetup became 2 hours because we would spend an hour talking. How is everybody? Yeah. And then we would do an hour practice. And it was my lifeline, another lifeline for me.
Well, yeah. Cause I
got lucky.
Extrovert, right?
Me?
Would you say you're an extrovert?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right. And I feel like for extroverts, the pandemic was like so freaking hard. Like that I got a job at Lululemon in my 3rd trimester. I was like, I need to get out of the house. That was before the pandemic, but I was just like, I make videos by myself. That's why this podcast is coming to life, because I can talk to other people. Because when you're making videos on YouTube, it's just you in an empty house and a camera, and you're like, hey guys, and it's really fun. And you can like comment, like go in the comments, but like, I needed some human interaction. So I was in my 3rd trimester. I got off an 8-hour shift. I called Seth and be like, how are you feeling? I'm like, great. I feel fantastic. I got to help people buy Lululemon leggings. It's so stupid, but I was just so excited. My coworkers were great. This place, because I needed that. So when I read that about the Peanut thing, where you're like, I got on the dating app for moms, Peanut, and met all these moms and like made my own little mom friends. I was like, that was genius. Okay. That was a really good idea.
Well, thank you. It took a lot. It's taken me a long time, which is what my my podcast, What Are Fronts For, is about is adult platonic relationships, platonic love, and to the amount of grace and the amount of work we put into our romantic relationships, we don't give our platonic ones that much effort and that much respect. And so we talk about the good and the bad about it. And a big one for me that I learned the hard way, I feel, about not being really close to certain people in my 20s whom I adore, but they don't know me because I wasn't being honest or vulnerable and saying, you know what, this is hard. And I'm so grateful, at least my social media, that I choose to tailor to my needs, that I follow, and I have embraced and learned that being honest and being true, being authentic is very, very popular now and very pushed and promoted, you know what I mean? And so there was a girlfriend that I barely knew, Mara Lee, who actually did work at Lululemon when I saw her last in New York, funny enough. And she was like, I told her, I was like, I'm really lonely. How are you? Because she also had the same due date around as me. And so we reconnected on Instagram to like just, you know, hold down the fort and get through it in the pandemic. And she was the one that said you should try Peanut, because I had a lot of great relationships there in New York. And so I was lucky that I found a really great group in Los Angeles.
That is so cool.
Thanks. And we still catch up. The group text is hilarious.
I'm sure.
Mercedes is the firstborn out of the group. And so like we all like compare how things are going and we all ask questions. There's about 6 of us that kind of just like really committed to staying in touch.
Yeah.
Thank God it's extremely positive. But everyone's so different. Holy cow. Like
that's cool.
the Eden, the baby that is Judy's baby, is like 3 weeks behind Merc, because Merc was a little with the C-section scheduled, like it was a little earlier, and like she's about to start walking, and Mercedes still hates tummy time. And so like it's just hilarious. Like we get to compare, and also like it's a relief to know like every baby is so different. It's like it like in current time proof of that with this conversation that we have on group text.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
So they weren't psychopaths, so I exchanged my phone numbers with them.
That's so funny. I have a Google Voice number that I'll like give to people that I first meet, and then once I'm like, okay, you're not crazy, here's my
You're not a psychopath.
Yeah. It's a little anyway. Okay, so then
do you share that with your international fans? Or like
my Google Voice number?
Yeah. I'm sure you have an international following.
Yeah.
Do you share that with your international fans? Your Google number?
No way. That's Instagram DMs is like, that's enough. That's good to go. That's all we need. That's good communication. It's hard. There's like comments on YouTube to keep up with, DMs in your Facebook, DMs on your YouTube, or blah, blah, blah. It's like, there's so much.
Do you still use Facebook?
No,
I agree.
That
really can be the answer. I agree. It's too much work. It's too many things.
Big site. Yeah, I know. And then TikTok comes along and you're like, come on. And now we're back on TikTok again. It always happens with me nowadays. I'm obsessed with like not trying to be obsessed with it. There are so many children making so much money on TikTok. The entrepreneur in me is like, I have to figure this out. I know.
I
know. Well, and I think what happens, because YouTube is 10 minutes, right? TikTok is 30 seconds. So to rack up views on TikTok is a little bit easier than a 10-minute video. Yeah.
Yeah. But also, just so you guys know, this is not a TikTok podcast, but here we're going to keep talking about it. The amount of not going back, you can't really edit it tons. When you post it, you can't repost it. It's really crazy. Like
I don't even own the app. I don't have the app.
Throw it out there, and then if you nail it, you're a millionaire. Like, so crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's insane. I know. And like people are growing at crazy rates because it's I know. Part of you is like, am I dropping the ball here? Like, should I figure
Am I dropping the ball here? But also I'd like to protect my self-esteem.
Yep. Yeah. And my time and
my time. I like on Sunday. Again, this is not a TikTok podcast. On Sunday, you can edit this out. On Sunday, Philip's leaving for church because he leads worship at our church. And I'm like, okay, I'll see you there. I'm not gonna volunteer. I'm gonna be a member. I'm showing up with the baby at probably 11 when it starts at 10:30. So nice and luxurious. But like I'm sitting there when he's leaving, like on TikTok, trying to post this video that I've been working on for 20 hours. It ruined my whole morning.
I can't even. Yeah. No. The
poor dog was the dog was hungry, and I was like, "Oh, I have to feed Leela. I'm so sorry. Let me just fix this real fast."
Oh my God.
And then like 30 minutes goes by. Come on. Just ask me another question. Let's move on. God, I cannot.
So with TikTok and a new baby, I actually just watched your YouTube video talking about first time working mom. And I was like, it's different because I don't have an office that I went to, but I was like, these are genius tips of like having doubles of everything at home and in the office and like the caddy and all these things. I'm like, hey, this is a really good idea. But did you say I'm not going to work for like, I'm going to give myself my own maternity leave, or we're just going to keep rolling with this? Or, what happened when she was first born?
Well, she didn't latch right away. And then I had a C-section. So that was so hard. The recovery, because it's only my experience that I have, the recovery of a C-section versus her not latching and getting hungrier by the minute and losing weight immediately are bipolar opposite goals to try to reach. It's savage.
What do you mean?
Do you know what I mean? Like I've got to sleep to heal. And I can't use my core to like lean over and give her my breast, right? Like I can't even like hunch over because hunching over is not allowed. And then like she's hungry. And so she's also not latching. And it's like, okay, it didn't bother me to give her formula like the first week, which is so adorable. You know, shout out to my hospital. They were like, here, take this cute bag of formula. I was like, you don't need that. And they're like, but it's a cute bag. And I was like, okay, it's a cute bag. I'll take the cute bag. They know what they're doing. They absolutely know what they're doing. Oh my
gosh, funny.
And what was your question? I had a point.
Well, you said it was really hard. Just the two things I was asking about, what happens, like how it's been when she was born.
Oh, and so with Pallavi saying you should take your maternity leave now, and I was like, that's a great idea. And it was a true 6 weeks for me to feel like I could just sit up without using I could stand up out of a chair without using my arms, like use my core to just like heave up with the baby.
Yeah.
And as a person that, I don't know, I'm sure everyone can relate to this. It's just like you relearn patience over and over. And the big lesson for me that is always like right smack dab smacks me in the face is healing. Every time I injure myself, especially when I can't work, because that's my job, is to use my body.
Right.
And I have to heal, which means I have to stop. And I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And so with the C-section and with the baby, it was wonderful to like mentally be there for her and like physically be there for her, where I had to stop everything else. But it was the 6-week mark. I can't even kid you. I was like, I think I could like call my manager and be like, maybe there can be some voiceover auditions that can come in, because I can do that in my closet.
Yeah.
And a PBS, an offer for PBS across the country came in for Wicked the musical at 6 weeks postpartum. Can you come next week? And I was like,
more voiceover or something that I could do.
I was talking about my closet.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Did you do it?
And then I was like, they're not going to pay me. And they're like, so here's how much. I was like, oh, come on, Lord. Like that's a down payment of a car.
Oh my God.
We want a new car. Oh, the first like biggest, because of my career, like PBS, Shayla, like you don't say no to PBS, and then you don't say no to Wicked, like you say yes. So it went straight off.
Were you ready? Were you physically ready? No.
I also was like, I gained like 70 pounds in my pregnancy. I think I was like 198 when Mercedes was.
Did you weigh more than your husband?
Do I, like in natural body, like normal body, we are the same.
Okay. Yeah.
We are the same in my normal body because he's long and slender guy. And yeah, it is what it is. And this is how it's going down. And so like I lost like nothing when I went to that cross the country concert. I had to buy new dresses. I had no idea like what Spanx were. Like I didn't have to wear them ever. And thank God my shoes fit. Thank God that went back from the swollen feet. It was a crash course of also like trying to maintain breastfeeding while I was away from her.
How long were you away?
4 days.
Okay, which probably felt like a lifetime. 4 days isn't a crazy amount, but like a newborn baby, that feels like forever.
Yeah, she was 7 weeks, and Philip from the very beginning would rock her and walk with her in the hospital while he was like, you need to sleep for the 2 hours because then you need to pump. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And so he's always been such a team player. Nice. And he moved here to Los Angeles for my career. And so like, again, a confident man that was like, you are the thoroughbred, go to sleep in the stall. Yeah. The horse stall. Right. Get some rest and we'll brush you up and then you'll get back in here later. And it was very helpful. So when I left, I knew she would be fine with him. Yeah. He wasn't like helpless. I don't know what I'm doing, you know?
Right. Was it, I mean, I feel like if you're 6 weeks postpartum, you're kind of like, oh my God, I don't even know if I can do this. And they're like, no, we want you. Mm-hmm. We still want you. Were you like,
I know.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. I still got it even 6 weeks postpartum. Like, was there a moment where you're
major ego stroking.
Oh, okay.
Shout.
Yeah.
Shout. And like, I got to be there and I brought my assistant with me and we showed up. My sister lives in DC. So the kids came and they got to watch an orchestra. It was wonderful. It was a wonderful experience. And I had to sit on the airplane and be like, Gabrielle, don't freak out. Don't be stressed. It's going to be fine. And unclench your jaw because if you don't breathe, you're going to make yourself sick in a COVID world and you're not going to enjoy this.
Yeah.
Be present.
Yeah.
Be present. And
wow, it
was very interesting. Like people I knew and then people I didn't know in the production, like behind the scenes, they were like, I was like, I'm 7 weeks. I need to pump. Is that okay? Not is that okay? I was like, this is my schedule. This is what needs to happen. And they were like, oh, no problem. I'm a mom. So there were a lot of like women leading the project was wonderful, but it was hilarious when they were like, oh my God, are you okay? Do you miss her?
Yeah.
Like, and I was just like, she's doing great with her dad.
That's
like,
nice. Yeah. See, what is this attitude? You're just like, that's amazing.
Thank you. But I guess I don't want to be guilty about not feeling that way. Like I felt guilty with being okay with a C-section. I felt guilty of not being devastated that I wasn't with her. I don't know. Like those are some weird things.
I understand that. But at the same time, you've created that your husband's got her. You like if you were leaving her in questionable hands, you'd probably be super, super nervous, but you're like,
I wouldn't have left.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I wouldn't have left. No, you're totally right.
Yeah. I know that everything's fine. I know that everything's safe. I know that what I'm doing is helping my family and we're just going to go with it.
Okay, and trust. It's a lot of trust, with yourself and with the people that you're surrounding yourself with. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So then, there's something else that I read on. You told me that it's impossible to get babysitters in LA. I also saw in your YouTube video that you're like, I've created this space and she's right here on tummy time. And this is what we do. And it's just like, you're just rolling with it. You are just like, I don't know if it's like, I don't even know. I've got too many thoughts in my head, but
tell me your thoughts.
For me, I was full-time travel, had no responsibility, got to do whatever I want, whenever I wanted. It was like this great freedom where I was like, oh yeah, I can't be there. Sorry. I'm going to be somewhere else. Like nobody needed to depend on me. I loved that I didn't have to I don't know. Then COVID hit. So first of all travel was like off limits. Then I had a baby that like uber depended on me. She never took a bottle. She never took a Nook. So we have breastfed the whole time. And it was so like from 0 to 100. Like it was and it was a identity crisis where I was like, I'm not a traveler anymore. I'm a mom now. What does that even mean? And it was interesting because you said that you have always kind of been like, oh yeah, I'm away from my family. It's no big deal, whatever. And now all of a sudden you're like, my mom's really far. My sister's really far, all these things. And when you said that, I was kind of like, that's how I feel. And I didn't necessarily associate the two, because Seth and I are always like, we're going to live in the mountains. We're going to go live where we can be super active and whatever. And now we're in Minnesota, which it's either humid, just stepping outside, or negative 100 degrees. And so I'm like, well, this is not ideal. So we keep talking, oh, let's move to Wyoming. Let's move to Montana or Colorado or whatever. And every time we do it, he's like, yeah, that sounds great. Right. I'm like, yeah, but what will I do on Saturdays when I usually go to my sister's house? What am I gonna, like, I don't have someone to like hang out with, or and that's been a huge thing. That's never been a thing before in my whole life. Like I've always just been like, I'm on the go, I'm going.
And it changed with kids.
And so now, and I think that's what it was. I think it was just having her. And because even the same in the beginning, it was like, oh, my mom works in an office, so we're gonna do the through the window thing, or okay, we feel comfortable with just wearing masks, okay, this and that. Now it's like opening up a little bit more, and or we just, I don't know, everybody's got their own rules, but
everyone's got their own rules, right?
So I think it is just like, it's nice that she gets to know my sister, who's her TT, and like I get to hang out with my nephew more, and there's just like, we get to do dinners and we get to hang out. And I'm like, okay, if we move to Wyoming, it's 12 hours by driving, so that's not the worst. We could probably handle that. And it's just, I don't know, I just have never felt that way. And I think, it's the baby, right? And the pandemic, the inability to,
it's both. It's a double whammy. It's a double whammy for the entrepreneur, hardcore New Yorkaholic that I am. I never thought it would change. And my sister has been doing it for 5 years. My eldest niece is 5, going on 6, and she was so good before. And that's pre-pandemic. She was so good about FaceTiming us, putting pictures of us up. I mean, I lived in New York and she's in DC area, and like I still didn't see her because my schedule was wackadoodle all the time, including hers. And every time I was there, if I was there for work, the show's at 8 p.m. The kids are going to bed. You know, my schedule is not favorable to family time. And Hollywood's made that easier because the schedule's better and there's free food. But with them being so far away, and Sadi's doing such a good job with Amelia knowing who I am, you know what I mean? So when I FaceTime her, she knows, they know it. It's normal for them. And then when I see her like once every 18 months, maybe, she like picks up right where we left off. That's like, so I'm not a stranger to her. Yeah. So like, that's what's also like hopeful. That gives me hope to be able to be far away. But it's also space, because Los Angeles is a very expensive town, and you have to, in my opinion, I'm here for work and I want to be here with money. I don't want to be here with just a small, tiny mortgage with construction across the street all the time, which sounds like New York. So who knows? And I, for the first time, I'm getting a little tired of not having tons of space. Like, I knew when we would get a dog, not a baby, but when we got a dog, like, I want a yard. I'm not going to I remember seeing like an Alaskan Husky in Manhattan when I would go home. And that huge Husky was in this tiny little patio. And you're just like, that dog needs to be in Alaska. With a sled behind itself.
On the open trail.
On the open, snowy trail. Because that's what it was bred to do.
Right.
And I feel like as parents, that's what we're bred to do, is like create more space as well as create that relationship with your kin. And it's animalistic.
It's like, no, I agree. And that's kind of like, even me, I'm like, the parks are nice, but I would love to just like take her and let her hike up a mountain. She makes it up quarter of the way. Cool. We come back, we go out, like, you find little things, and I don't know. I just,
what you want.
Yeah. But that's not here.
I understand.
What kind of is,
I'm in that place too. So like for us, we're in Los Angeles for my career, and I've had a great first audition season that I almost struck gold again. And that's a good thing. That failure was a good one. And COVID struck out the second one, and I haven't really had a chance to like strike gold again, strike lightning after the Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. And so this year is like it. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
So are you going to keep doing things? Like, are you just doing things as normal? Again, in that article, I keep referring to it because it was just long ago. I saw that you were like,
Thanks.
You had mentioned that kind of your fears of like, I'm pregnant. How is this going to change my career? And somebody was like, it's going to make it better because you're going to get selected.
Then there's that.
That's genius though. It's like the TikTok thing. Like, I don't have time for this. No return on investment. I'm not doing it. Like, you literally have to decide what is worth your time. Is that what, and that's what you found?
So far, when we're recording this, I just got back into the audition season, like the audition groove for me. And I feel like she's the good luck charm in that sense, where you've got 2 hours. I think every parent knows this. You got 2 hours to work when she's asleep or when she's napping, and you've got 30 minutes. It's a gamble. It's always a gamble of how much you can get done, Yeah. And it's like this, what a rush, it's always a rush of energy. And I feel like I'm able to put that into my audition practice, and hopefully it sticks. And if that's the take we have, and she's like in Philip's arms behind the camera, and like you hear the pacifier going, like that, they're gonna get it. That's what they're gonna get.
Yeah.
But yeah, some moms were just like, listen, you go into, like, this is pre-pandemic so far. We really don't go into audition rooms right now, into offices or casting directors' rooms. She's like, you go in and you're just so tired. Like for me, like I told you this recording, like we had a teething night, she was just up a lot longer. Wouldn't go down to sleep again. And you just like, you know what? This is it. I forgot my concealer. You're welcome.
Yeah.
So, and then you book it. Like sometimes that's when you let go. Like you don't care so much, and then you book it. So isn't it ironic?
Yeah. But you're going for things the same. I mean, other than being more selective. Like, what I want to know is if having the baby has changed how you're approaching jobs, I guess.
I can't define that yet because the job hasn't come yet.
That's fair.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't define it. I've always never wanted to do full nudity anyway. So like, that's never been like, I want my kids to watch everything I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want my kids to see me naked on a television in front of them when they didn't ask for that.
Right.
And so that's never been a problem, or like I've always established that from the beginning. And it was because I wanted kids, like Philip reminded me. And my agent just asked me, she's like, will you relocate? And I was like, yeah, I'd relocate. Let's just take the kids and everybody. And my sister, when I had a cat, like 50, Veronica, the cat's like, she's like 12 or 13 now. And I got the cat in New York, and my sister was like, wow, you have a cat like that? Is that hard? I was like, Sonny, you have a kid. Like,
yeah.
You just make it work, right?
Right.
Cats are like so independent.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You could leave them for days.
I remember saying that. And so, yeah, like the kid will just come with.
Right.
Yeah. And then you just figure it out. And Philip was the one who's like, listen, we're going to plan now. And then when it changes, we'll plan again. Like if you make all these like, these future what ifs, you'll never make a decision, and you'll never do anything the whole time.
Agreed.
And you'll never do anything, which is a huge pet peeve of mine.
Yes.
Just do it.
I'm the same way. I know it's funny because with Seth and I'm like, let's just do it. Let's just go. Let's just do all these things. He's like, camping with a baby. I'm like, yeah, we'll take her. She'll have a camp. She'll go, I don't know, putt or play in the pool or something. He's like,
just poop right next to us. You don't have to get a diaper.
It's gonna be fine. He's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, we're not gonna know unless we do it. So let's just go.
Yeah. Well, we did that with an RV trip across the country for Christmas, because the dog doesn't fit under an airplane seat. And it was like Pennsylvania year for Philip's family to go to Pennsylvania. And we were like, why don't we drive? And then why don't we get a van? Why don't we get an RV? It became really big RV trip. And people were like, oh my God, how did you do that? And I was like, you just do. You just do. It
Yeah.
was so hard and it was so much fun.
I think
Maybe that's us.
Yeah, I agree. And like, yeah, I feel like if you're just a doer, like we got chickens and people are like, how? Well, what are you going to do in the winter? And we're like, I don't know yet. I'm not really sure what we're going to do in the winter.
Figure it out when we get there.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Just give them little mittens.
Yeah, just little chicken mittens.
Little scarf.
I know. But that's definitely us too. It's like, well, we're just gonna do it. We're gonna figure out one got eaten by a raccoon. That wasn't ideal.
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. Goodbye, Jackie. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Jackie lived a good life
for a
until
while.
the raccoon.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on raccoons like TikTok. They're on my TikTok list.
Stop with the TikTok. You.
I told you, I'm obsessed about not being obsessed with
it. So you watch TikTok though?
No, I don't watch it.
Yeah, definitely not. That'd be ridiculous.
I don't watch musical theater either. That's my career. It's fine.
Okay, same. I don't do a lot of YouTube.
You know, it's so funny. You don't watch YouTube. I love it. It's so funny. I saw Rent finally all the way through 2 nights ago. I know.
Wow. Yeah.
I heard it here first, folks.
Admitting my dark secrets. Okay, so next question. You said, well, I'm trying to think of where I want to go here.
I'll laugh as you figure it out.
Yeah, it's fine.
I told Philip in the movie, I was like, is this still going? Like, when does it end?
Oh my gosh. He's like, you don't know?
You don't know. I didn't know Mimi didn't die.
I've never seen it. I have no idea. I'm like,
It's
not
like,
what?
well, that's how you feel about YouTube. It's like, if it's your career, like, why are you going to do all the time? Like, you don't want to work at the mall because you don't want to hate the mall. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to like have to get away from the mall.
Yeah.
It's the same difference.
Right. Yeah, you should. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to think of well, because you said that in LA there's no babysitters.
Babysitters. Yes, I haven't answered that question. Isn't that bananas?
Yeah, well, because they all want to do something like acting, right? I don't know.
No. Well, that is before the pandemic. I think because of the pandemic, they're like, hey, I can work anywhere now. Oh, I think everyone's going through this identity crisis, like post-pandemic identity crisis, no matter if you have kids or not, if you're in college or not, if you have a career or not, if you worked at a restaurant or not. Like, I listened to this podcast episode on The Daily, and like the average worker finally realizes they don't have to do that anymore. And I say average, like, for instance, if someone's working in Hollywood, the average job would be like an actor is the average job is like stereotypically a restaurant waiter, right? Or a babysitter, because I did both in New York while I was pursuing Broadway.
Yeah.
And now they're like, because of the stop and the identity crisis of like, who am I now? You got to actually think. I think all of the world got to think. Everyone's changing. And the economy is changing extremely fast. And now that I have a baby, it's not normal to be able to find a babysitter in Hollywood. Well, in Los Angeles. Yeah. It's crazy. And because all these, mostly women, all these women are like, you know what? I'm going to go back to school. Or, you know what? I left. I'm moving. Or, you know what? My rate's $35 an hour.
Yeah.
Because they can.
Right.
There's less, it's less supply and more demand. And they also want to be able to survive in a very expensive city.
Right.
And everyone has like this everyone has the opportunity to try a different leverage now.
So then what's the plan? You're just going to figure out how to just keep her with you while you do all the things?
Yeah.
Yeah. Until it doesn't work, and then you'll figure out what to do next.
It doesn't work. And you'll figure out next. Now, Philip's work as a music minister at our church, his peak week is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so that works in our favor immensely. The office space you see back here where I recorded that episode on YouTube that you saw, this is the church building.
Oh, cool.
And it's huge. And because even more so with the pandemic, there's less people here during the week. So while he was figuring out how to create live stream last year for the church, I would come and help produce it because I'm good at it. And the dog would be able to run around freely and not get dirty because she had literally, it's an apocalypse building. Like if the apocalypse happens, you come to this building and you
might
You
survive.
barricade yourself in.
Yeah.
You know, to answer that question, yes. And then finally with the monster chasing me, I would just surrender within a year because and I do feel that way right now, honestly, Shayla, with not getting COVID yet. It's still a yet, right? I feel like just get it over with.
Yeah. Can I just get it so I know what's going to happen?
Can I just get it over with? Like let the monster find you finally, right? It feels like a boogeyman. That's the stress of it.
That's hilarious. That is very accurate.
It's a little dark, right? You're just like, can I just get it so I don't have to be running away from it all the time?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. All right. Well,
there's no babysitters in LA.
There's no babysitters in it. You're planning on making it work.
And like I said, in that like first time working mom office space, it's like we got an extra pack and play in here. And then a lot of moms in my circles only want one kid. So I got very lucky with a lot of great hand-me-downs, you know? And so when I got 3 plates,
they're the greatest. People are weird about it.
I can't believe people are weird about it.
Right?
I was like, yes, please give me all the, I have a little girl coming. I will take the blue dinosaur t-shirt. Yep. I will put a blue bow on her and call it a day. It's great. It's great. I wear black and white and blue all day. Why can't she?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. We have like all hand-me-downs except for a Christmas outfit or like a specific event. I'll like buy her an outfit, but otherwise I'm like
the size.
Yeah, exactly. But otherwise it's like, let food get on it, let dirt get on it. She can go in the water. I don't care. Because what's a used baby clothes? 3 months old?
I can't. I can't spend that money like that. And I can't care. Like, you know, I can't care because I care so much about other things. Oh, I totally bleached this baby sweater in the sun. Like I left it out. I forgot about it. And my condo has a shared washing and drying area. And I literally left out clothes there for maybe 5 days. And it was super hot like 2 weeks ago when this happened in Los Angeles. And the sweater says, hey, lay flat dry, which I didn't. And I hung dried it. And it's a baby sweater and it's super expensive, cute, but somebody gave it to me. And Philip was like devastated. He was like, it's bleached by the sun. I was like, but I didn't pay for it.
Yeah.
So do I throw it away or do I send it to Salvation Army?
Was it like tie-dye bleached or it just was like, what did it look like?
Like the drying, you know, like line drying.
Yeah.
The
line was bleached.
It's a navy blue sweater and there's like a bleached white line.
I mean, that's kind of trendy, kind of, right?
I'll send you a picture.
Yeah. You're like, no, it's not.
Yeah, but it's fine because I didn't pay for it. And like kids are gonna poop.
Right.
Why do I have to care? Why do I have to care?
I am so on board with hand-me-downs.
I agree. I literally have a department store in Philip's office storage unit of Mercedes clothing. The amount of donations I said yes to. And then I'm like, you know, I need that little like, I don't even know what it's called because I just hit the mark of needing it. It's like a little like booth with a little floor booth sitting thing to help her sit up on the floor.
Oh,
I forget what they're called.
Bumbo.
Yes. I think so. And I'm like, I need one. And I was like, you know what? I got to go check that closet first. I have 2.
Yes. Which is perfect. One for home and one for the office. Done.
One for the office.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. I know. And I'm like trying to be super OCD about how I organize it. I'm like, okay, we're out of the 12 month now. This is all going to go in one bin. But just finding the time to do that too is insane. But I'm really trying to keep it organized.
As long as you try.
Yeah.
long as you try.
Well, because then baby number 2 will come along and you're going to have to figure out where all the stuff is. I'm trying to help my future self. Here it is.
The same person.
Done. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. All right. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me. It was really fun to get to know you and to like, honestly, just hear about how you're doing so well and how everything is going and how you're still moving a million miles an hour. And
thank you.
These are the stories, like I said, that I need. So
it was because of you all you YouTube mommies that share how you're doing so well, just doing your best. That was so helpful for me that I have to pay it forward and I have to share my stories because there's another soon to be aspiring currently mom out there that needs to hear it. And like, I'm so glad we're working against the stigmas of expectations from the generation before us. I mean, they were given a lot of things to stress about and a lot of expectations from the generation before them that I'm so glad I'm part of this generation that's trying to fight that and change it.
What do you mean? I feel like my mom is like, what's a wake window? You just went to sleep when you went to sleep. Like, I feel like they had the immediate family helping. They didn't have all this information that is helpful. And what do you mean? Tell me what you mean by that. How is it?
They were just like, including my mom, they were just like, be careful about gaining the weight because you're not going to lose it, or be careful about this because it's expected to be this. And I told her, I was like, hey, you can't say that to me. Also, I'm really alone right now. I'm very isolated with all my thoughts, but it took her to say that. And she didn't even realize that was put upon her from her mother or from her aunt or from her someone, that there's these status quos and there's these protocols that, of course, we're creating our own for the next generation to go to therapy over. But we, it's fighting the good fight. And my mom, I think our parents like had to fight different versions of that from the generation above them, which is like, I would assume, for example, it's like, only your kid can only wear expensive clothing, or your kid can't ride the bus. You know what I mean? Like, your kid can't ride the bus, and the bus now is cool because it's economically smart and they got to get social, and stuff like that. But before that, it's like, we were expected, or at least it was expected upon us to like not take the bus.
Okay.
In South Texas. Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Just different kinds of, I definitely think that there's more, like what you said, like the authentic, let's talk about things, and also a lot more acceptance of like, you are going to gain weight during pregnancy because that's what you're supposed to do. You're not meant to bounce back. This is what a postpartum body looks like. I remember the first time I saw a postpartum body, I was like, wait, what?
I know.
You keep the belly? That was like a mind, like I had no idea, but it's because people are sharing those things now that you're like, oh, and then when it happens to you, you're like, oh, I was kind of expecting this.
And I'm going to bring it back around to, it was the miscarriage when I told a few of the women around me that I'm having a miscarriage. And the statistic is 3 out of 5 women, I think, get a miscarriage, or at least experience one in their journey. It was like 4.5 out of 5 in my circle.
Yeah.
And I was mind blown.
Right.
Why aren't we talking about this? Or was I not listening? Did I not hear it? Or was I like, I don't know what that is. Don't talk to me about it. I'm not the person that they came to about that conversation.
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, I need to post this since I have a platform and I have people that admire me because of my work. I need them to understand that I'm also human, because celebrities are put on this pedestal, and we're now the generation, like, I still love Chrissy Teigen about it. She like talked about her loss, and she talks about her errors, and I wanted to be a part of that because I didn't feel so alone.
Right.
And like a lot of moms are like, oh yeah, I had a miscarriage. And like both of my relatives that I spoke to were like, yeah, I had a miscarriage, and maybe 2. And I was like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened? And they just just like brushed it aside when it was so traumatic for me. It was so traumatic. And then let the PTSD roll in. And it's just like, this is why everything else after that is such an issue because I didn't talk about what happened 10 years
Right.
ago.
And I think that is true. There's definitely more conversations about hard things now. Like even my aunt was just like, oh, dads are like so dads now. Like my husband wasn't in the room when I gave birth because men didn't do that. And like, they weren't fatherly. And we were on a hike one time and this older woman was like, you got all these woke men out here carrying their babies up the mountain. And I was like, did you just say woke men? Like this woman was gray. Like I was like, okay, what's your name? Like, let's be friends because I don't know. But it's true. Like there was so much that was unspoken before. And now there's a lot more. And I do think it is good because people are,
I think so too.
Again, like not alone. And they know what to expect a little more, or at least resources to go to learn more about it. And
and it's encouraged to talk about. It's accepted to talk about it. Yeah, it's fighting the good fight for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for being on this. It was so much fun to get to know you and just to chat about all the things. And like I said before, if you want to find Gabrielle Ruiz on Instagram, and you've got a YouTube as well.
I do, and I have a TikTok. It's true.
You do have a TikTok. Of course you do. Why would I think that we've talked about it enough that you're not on TikTok. I like the reluctancy. Like
it's not very good yet. Depending on when this is released, let me know. You guys let Shayla know how I'm doing on TikTok.
Oh, that's so funny. Amazing. All right. Thank you so much.
I'm so glad we're friends now.
Right. Perfect. Yeah. I'm like your peanut mom now. Okay, I mean, I don't need to be.
That means I get the Google phone number. Okay, good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I will talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.